In a world where our phones never sleep and digital lives unfold in real time, you'd think we've never been more connected. But beneath that surface lies something more hidden, quiet, dangerous. Mental health issues, from anxiety to depression, burnout to isolation, are spreading across the globe. Not in a way that fills hospitals or headlines, but in our bedrooms, our offices, our classrooms. According to the World Health Organization, depression is now the leading cause of disability. Suicide rates have climbed. Youth anxiety is at an all-time high. So, what's really going on? In a time of medical miracles and technological advancement, why are so many of us silently breaking? Before we explore the crisis today, we must understand where it began. In ancient times, mental illness was often explained away as demonic possession or punishment, treatment, isolation, or worse. Through the Middle Ages, people underwent bloodletting or exorcisms. By the 19th century, overcrowded asylums were the norm, more containment than care. Things began to shift in the 20th century. Sigmund Freud opened doors to the unconscious mind. Diagnostic manuals emerged, but stigma remained. Now in the 21st century, we're speaking more openly. Therapy is no longer taboo. Celebrities share their struggles. Social media sparks awareness. But let's be clear, the crisis isn't solved. If anything, it's just evolved. Let's talk about technology, the greatest paradox of our time. Yes, it gives us access to mindfulness apps and mental health content. But it's also fundamentally changed how we live, think, and feel. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they show the best parts of people's lives, never the worst. And when teens compare themselves to perfectly curated feeds, it fuels insecurity, self-doubt, and in many cases, depression. A 2023 study showed that adolescents spending over 3 hours a day on social media were twice as likely to develop symptoms of anxiety. What started as connection has become a cycle of comparison. Work emails at midnight, virtual meetings without boundaries, notifications every 10 minutes. In trying to stay productive, we've blurred the lines between work and rest, and it's leaving us emotionally and physically drained. In a world that's always on, we've forgotten how to switch off. Our world today demands performance. Productivity is king. Hustle culture is glorified. And perfectionism is creeping into every corner of life. Students are reporting record levels of stress, from standardized testing to college applications. The fear of failure is paralyzing. In countries like South Korea and India, academic pressure has even led to youth suicide epidemics. Remote work has blurred professional boundaries. Workers are now expected to be always available. The Great Resignation and quiet quitting movements highlight a deep dissatisfaction with the modern work environment, often driven by mental fatigue. Despite economic growth, millions still live paycheck to paycheck. Young adults face mounting debt, unaffordable housing, and an uncertain job market. Financial anxiety is a real and present danger to mental wellness. COVID-19 was more than a health crisis, it was a mental health explosion. Lockdowns separated families, friends, lovers. Humans are social animals. Isolation breeds despair. Elderly people were cut off from their children. Children were cut off from play. Depression and suicide hotlines saw spikes globally. Millions lost loved ones, many without the chance to say goodbye. Grief became complicated and unresolved. Frontline workers faced trauma daily, often without psychological support. The fear of infection, the loss of income, the shuttering of schools and businesses. COVID-19 stripped away our sense of control, heightening anxiety disorders worldwide. The pandemic didn't cause mental illness, but it supercharged existing vulnerabilities. The most disturbing trend is the rise in mental health issues among children and teenagers. Suicide is now the second leading cause of death among youth aged 10 to 24 in the US. 1 in 5 teenagers meets criteria for a mental disorder. Rates of self-harm, eating disorders, and panic attacks have surged. From cyberbullying to climate anxiety, today's youth are growing up in a pressure cooker. The internet never sleeps. The news is a stream of crisis. Their lives are judged in real time, often cruelly. Worse, schools often lack the resources to support their mental health. Parents are struggling too, caught in their own stresses, sometimes unable to provide the emotional scaffolding their children need. Mental health does not affect everyone equally. Mental illness is universal, but access to care isn't. People of color, LGBTQ+ individuals, refugees, and low-income families face immense emotional trauma with limited support. The pain is compounded by racism, poverty, and social exclusion. While women are more likely to be diagnosed with depression or anxiety, men often suffer in silence due to toxic masculinity and stigma. Male suicide rates are higher in nearly every country. We cannot solve the mental health crisis without addressing the systems that perpetuate inequality. While much of this essay focuses on Western societies, mental health is a global issue. In developing nations, mental illness often goes undiagnosed and untreated due to lack of resources. In war zones and refugee camps, trauma is widespread. In some cultures, mental health is still seen as a taboo, something to be hidden, not healed. Yet globally, mental illness now causes more disability than any other condition. The economic toll is estimated at $1 trillion per year in lost productivity. But the human toll, the invisible suffering, is far higher. Despite the grim data, there is hope. This is not a story without solutions. Movements like #BellLet'sTalk, World Mental Health Day, and mental health first aid training are making a real impact. Conversations that once took place in whispers now echo on stages, podcasts, and classrooms. Apps like BetterHelp, Headspace, and Calm are making therapy and mindfulness accessible to millions. Telehealth has opened doors for rural and underserved communities. Teenagers today are more aware, outspoken, and empathetic about mental health than any generation before. They're using their voices to demand change in schools, policy, and culture. Neuroscience is making breakthroughs in understanding anxiety, trauma, and depression. New treatments, from psychedelics to personalized medicine, are on the horizon. As we reach the conclusion, one thing becomes painfully clear. Awareness is not enough without action. This isn't just about anxiety, depression, or burnout. It's about the world we've built, one that's always on, always demanding, and often silent about the toll it takes. But change is possible. It begins with awareness, grows with empathy, and becomes real through action. In our homes, our schools, our workplaces, and policies. There is no health without mental health. And while we can't fix everything overnight, we can begin. With every open conversation, every moment of kindness, every choice to show up for ourselves and for each other. The question now isn't whether mental health matters. It's whether we're ready to treat it like it truly does.
Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more valuable insights on appraisals, revalidation, and interesting topics in healthcare.